Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namayana Shite Bhunde Dasnate Snatimatpara Mairste Shashantrasta Varsite Yatavakvayat. Never. Mai, when I. Anasite, had not eaten. Bhunde, she would eat. So this verse is this continuing description of the story of Bhurijana. And this is one of the parts of the Bhagavatam that are especially meant to evoke renunciation or detachment within the heart. As we read this pastime, or rather it's actually a metaphorical pastime to describe the situation of the conditioned soul within the material body. As we read this, we hear about the entanglement that the material consciousness causes for the soul, and a result of that entanglement is unlimited suffering. So this is just one step in the process of a conditioned soul's suffering. So, Namaya Anashite Bhunte, he's describing here, Bhurijana is describing how his wife would never eat until he had eaten. Asnate, never, asnate, had not taken bath. Snati, she would take her bath. Madpara, always devoted to me. Mai, when I, Rishte, was angry. Su, Santrasta, very much frightened. So we're describing these intimate dealings between the husband and the wife. So as Prabhupada will explain in his purport, there's two levels to understand this. One level it's extremely favorable, and on another level it's extremely unfavorable. And we'll hear about that in Prabhupada's purport. So she was acting, his wife was acting as the ideal wife. She would not take her bath until he bathed, and when he got angry at her, this is what we just heard, Rishte, Mai Rishte, when I was angry, Sutrasta, very much frightened. Varchite, and when I chastised, Yatavak, fully controlled of words. Completely controlled her words when I became angry and chastised her. Bayat, out of fear. So this is a very exciting verse, and the purport will have some elements in it that are still more exciting and more challenging. But first the verse. King Paramsana then began to think of his past dealings with his wife. He recalled that his wife would not take her dinner until he had finished his, that she would not take her bath until he had finished his, and that she was always very much attached to him. So much so that if he would sometimes become angry and chastise her, she would simply remain silent and tolerate his misbehavior. So this, you should understand, this verse is spoken. Puranjana is thinking very close to the time he's about to die, to leave his body. Please repeat. King Puranjana then began to think of his past dealings with his wife. He recalled that his wife would not take her dinner until she had finished his, that she would not take her bath until he had finished his, and that she was always very much attached to him. So much so that if he would sometimes become angry and chastise her, she would simply remain silent and tolerate his misbehavior. And here's Srila Prabhupada's purport. I tend to ask, when I finish reading the purport, I tend to ask, and I will this time, if anyone remembers anything, because that question is the most difficult question to answer, unless you answer no. But we're supposed to listen very carefully to Prabhupada's words. But in this particular purport, you're not allowed to, I'll ask who remembers something and what you remember, but you're not allowed to remember the last line, because I know that everyone will automatically remember the last line. You ready? Purport, Srila Prabhupada's purport. A wife is always supposed to be submissive to her husband. This will be the line that all the married men remember, and all the married wives will forget. A wife is always supposed to be submissive to her husband. Submission, mild behavior, and subservience are qualities in a wife which make her husband very thoughtful of her. For family life, it is very good for a husband to be attached to his wife, but it is not very good for spiritual advancement. Thus, Krishna consciousness must be established in every home. If a husband and wife are very much attached to one another in Krishna consciousness, they will both benefit because Krishna is the center of their existence. Otherwise, if the husband is too much attached to his wife, he becomes a woman in his next life. The woman, being overly attached to her husband, becomes a man in her next life. And here is the final line of Prabhupada's purport. Of course, it is an advantage for a woman to become a man, but it is not at all advantageous for the man to become a woman. That's Srila Prabhupada's purport. So what do you remember? Please raise your hand. Everyone's forgotten everything. Yes, Prabhu. It's good for family life, but not so good for spiritual life to become attached to one's wife. Yes, what else? Thank you. What else? If one is married and Krishna is in the center, it is beneficial for both the husband and wife. Thank you. Anyone else remember anything? Yes. The wife should always be submissive to her husband. What is unspoken, as Prabhupada once told me, that the husband should not be a rascal. Thank you. Anyone else remember anything? Was that a raised hand? Yes. When the wife is submissive, the bell rings. When the wife is submissive and of good behavior, the husband is always thoughtful of her. He's always thinking of her. And Prabhupada said that this is good for family life or material life, but it is not so good for spiritual life. Now why? Why is it good for material life? Why is it good for family life? Yes, wait, you're a brahmachari. Why is it good for material life that the husband is thinking of his wife? Yes. The wife feels that he's protected. She's protected. He gives her protection and more facilities. Yes, but there's more also. Peaceful. Yes, more also. Yes, for that's meant to be. That's some of the secrets. Yes, but we're talking about what's beneficial for the material part of one's life. Why is the Vedic culture, the Indian culture, especially previously, it was very much pushing this point. Because prosperity, yes, but I'm looking for something very specific. Yes. There won't be any quarrel, but... Excuse me? Yes, exactly the point. What's your... Okay, I couldn't hear it, but very good. Yes, because the tendency of the male false ego is to Drusha Prakriti Stohi Bhunte Prakriti Janiha. He's situated in the realm of material energy, Prakriti Sto, and he's thinking of himself as the Purusha, the enjoyer. So when there is conflict in the relationship between the husband and the wife, the man will seek to enjoy elsewhere, outside of his marriage. And then society is ruined, the children are ruined. It was so difficult for the children, so difficult for society, so difficult for the woman, so difficult for the man. So this is one of the essential principles for one to have a peaceful society, which Prabhupada called here, material life. It's material life if that is the limit of one's thinking, to have a peaceful family life, a peaceful society. But actually, as Prabhupada is pointing out, and as all devotees know, that to have a peaceful marriage, although satisfying materially, is not the purpose of life. It is not the purpose of existence. And the answer is obvious. And the answer will be illustrated so clearly by the very life of Bhurijana. Because he's so attached to his wife, he's so attached to his kingdom, his possessions, but his body is in the fire of material existence. It will burn today, tomorrow, or the next day. While we are in material consciousness, we naturally and continuously think that tomorrow will be more or less like today. And then when tomorrow comes and I'm healthy and things are reasonably going on, then I think that the next day will be just like today. And we live our life in this way in material consciousness. And then the unexpected necessarily must happen. It must happen. It must happen. That one day our life will be turned upside down. As one creative computer expert once said, if you live your life as if today will be your last day on earth, one day you will be correct. Because all of us, we don't think like this. We tend not to think like this until we're deathly ill or someone close to us passes away. But we are here only temporarily. And those things that give us pleasure in the material world, the things that we are attached to, because the nature of material pleasure is that it creates attachment. The mode of passion creates attachment. So when something gives us pleasure, even if that thing is sattva-gun in the mode of goodness, it will degrade to rajagun, passion and attachment, which results in always distress. And this is what we're going to see that Bhurijana happens. Because he's attached to this, he's attached to that, he's attached to so many things. And then, when it's time for his death, for the soul to be dragged from his body, all those attachments turn into great causes of pain because he's trying to hold on to them. It's what he knows. It's the cause of his pleasure. And he holds on to it because the time of death is a painful place. It's a painful time, the most painful time. Compared in Shastra to the being bitten by hundreds and hundreds of scorpions. It's a bewildering time. It's a confusing time. There is pain. The life airs are in disarray. Your heart is beating and stopping to beat. You can't breathe. Such a difficult time. And naturally, what the mind is most attached to, will hold on to. Even before chanting Hare Krishna, I knew, and I think it was common knowledge even in the West, that when one is dying, one's life passes in front of him. And one holds on to that which one has given him pleasure, or that which has given one extreme pain. One holds on to these things. And then adishtayam, manastayam, vishya upasevate, the subtle body, that which fills our subtle body, sadatat bhava bharata, that will determine our next life. So, material life is important. How we organize our material life is so important, because if our mind isn't peaceful, then it is very difficult to prosecute spiritual life. On Srila Prabhupada's desk in his room yesterday, there was a letter where Prabhupada was even saying that we have to feed the poor people. Usually he would criticize charitable work that's on the material level, that remains only on the material level. But on this letter, he said we should, and he even said that we shouldn't open. He said it was more important to feed these poor people because they were starving. More important than opening a temple in Panama. That's what was on Prabhupada's desk yesterday. Because he said, if one is so hungry, one cannot take to spiritual life, because naturally one's consciousness will be fixed on the material level. And one time, as he was passing through Thailand, he told the devotee who he was with that the people here are too poor to take to Krishna consciousness. Such extreme statements. So it is so important to organize, for devotees too, to organize the material part of our life so that it facilitates the smooth and peaceful practices of our spiritual life. Because our spiritual life, our relationship with Krishna, is that that truly has value. And if we get the material part correct, but don't have the spiritual part, and don't develop our relationship with Krishna, prema pamarto mahan, and don't develop our love for Krishna, we have gained nothing. Janiya shuniya vishakainu. We have drunk poison willingly, even after having known that it is poison. So that is the material part of our life. So if one is just concentrating on the material part of his life, he's wasted his life. And if one is using the material part of his life and making it peaceful to support the spiritual part of one's life, if one isn't sufficiently advanced to just transcend and accept what happens to him as Krishna's mercy, and focus his consciousness fully on Krishna in difficult times, that's ideal. But if one is not on that level of ability to control the mind and full sincerity, then one uses the material part of one's life to support his spiritual life. And also again, that if we are so busy getting our material part of our life organized, even if we are devotees, that we don't get around to develop deeply the spiritual part of our life, that is also a trap that is easy to fall into. Because the point is that the spiritual part of our life is the essence of our existence. And unless we develop our relationship with Krishna, our serving relationship with Krishna, then no matter how hard and determined we are to become become detached from the material part of our life, those attachments will remain so strong. Param dristva. The higher taste must be there. And Maya is so powerful. Daiviyesh gunamayi, mama Maya dhratyaya. Very difficult to overcome Maya by our determination. It is not possible to do it. Mama Maya dhratyaya, because it's Daiviyesh. The material world, material energy, it is empowered by Krishna to bewilder us. Maya is so powerful in that respect, always presenting allurements. And Maya stands before us, coming from really our false ego, which has the tendency, Krishna Bhuri se jiva nadi vahimuk, ataeva Maya tare samsarena du. Maya, as soon as we have false ego, Maya comes in so many forms, unlimited forms. And Prabhupada compared that, or the Bhagavatam compares that to the changing dress of a prostitute. Always changing dress, but the same thing is there ultimately. So Maya comes in so many different forms, but the same thing is there. You can enjoy me. This is the presentation of Maya. Whether it comes in the form of the member of the opposite sex, or it comes in the form of my new camera or computer or this or that, or a peaceful place to live, or a new set of clothes, or a new set of glasses. Maya will come and say, you can enjoy me. This is the essential message of Maya. And the essential message of Krishna consciousness is what? What is it? You can enjoy? You can enjoy. Not quite. Yes, he's correct. If it's coming from the right place, he's correct. We can enjoy, but what do we enjoy? Being a servant, exactly. And the proper object of our service are the lotus feet of Krishna and the Vaishnavas. And this is exactly what Maya switches around. Viparyato smriti. Bhayam dvitiya abhinavishita syad. That Maya causes us with a spirit, fills us with a spirit of enjoyment, not seeing the world, not seeing everything in existence as Krishna's and meant for Krishna's pleasure. But Maya fills us with a mood that it is meant for me and my pleasure. And again, Maya comes in so many forms. Vitya, it causes a breakage in reality, and therefore Maya means is not. Maya means illusion. Because it causes us to see that which exists in the material world as if it has a separate existence from Krishna. And rather we see everything in Maya in relationship to me and my enjoying spirit. And how can I enjoy this? And how can I enjoy that? And how can I enjoy this? And how can I enjoy this? Iksha dvesha samutena. I like this and want to bring it closer to me because I can enjoy it. And this dvesha, it causes me pain. And therefore, I push it away. This is the bewildering consciousness that Maya plants in our hearts. And it causes immediately bhayam, fear. Bhayam vritya, when this division between us and everything, and Krishna is made by the power of Maya, it causes immediately fear and viparita smriti. Our vision of reality is upside down, topsy-turvy, as Prabhupada called it. Upside down. We see things incorrectly. We see things according to the vision that the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, ignorance, award us. If we're in a termite body, a white ant body, when we see a table, we see it as food. Because of the modes of material nature that cover us. And if one is in a devotional mood, if one is in devotional consciousness, thinking himself as a servant, then he sees everything in relationship to his master, to Krishna, in the mood of how can I serve you? How can this be used in your service? And that is what Prabhupada is speaking about, can make household life very favorable for a person or for people. If they're attached to one another in Krishna consciousness, that this person, their existence is not for my pleasure. What Maya forces us to do, forces us to see everything as if its existence was meant for my pleasure, for my exploitation. And if you've ever been in that position, when a person, or the easiest way to think about it is like an animal, a poor animal, has a right to live. And then, if a person sees that animal, your existence is simply meant to satisfy my tongue. And therefore, because I'm stronger than you, I can do anything I want, I can even kill you. Your existence is simply meant for my pleasure. This type of envious consciousness is what Maya fills us with. But on the other hand, if husband and wife are attached to another, Krishna consciousness, they will both benefit because Krishna is the center of their existence. And this is the great challenge of household life, to place Krishna in the center of one's existence. And this is the great challenge of brahmacharya, to live simply as a servant of Krishna, of vanaprastha life, of sannyas life. To live, to be so committed to the service of Krishna, to have given myself completely to the service of Krishna. And from that point, the point of Nishtha, on that my mind doesn't waver, even when there's Markandeya Rishi, when Indra sent the heavenly girls and Cupid himself before Markandeya Rishi, and he was the most perfected of all sages in meditation. And when Cupid thought the time was right, when the beautiful ladies were dancing before him, Cupid then shut his arrow. And Markandeya Rishi's mind quivered slightly. But using the power that he had obtained of controlling his mind, he focused it immediately. And when he was able to do that, Cupid and the ladies in Indra became frightened because they knew someone so sincere, someone so powerful, had the power to burn them to ashes if he became angry. So sometimes some quivering can someone is so sincere they can focus their consciousness, call out to Krishna, as Srila Raghunath Goswami recommends, to call out to Krishna, to bring light into the darkness of my consciousness at this moment, then Krishna will always do that. But to be that sincere is the great challenge. To be that sincere. One time in Melbourne, Prabhupada in a meeting in the town hall, he was asked a question, how to become sincere? And Prabhupada replied, how to become a drunkard. If you want to become a drunkard, a drinker of alcohol, all you have to do is associate with people who attend all the pubs and the bars and who have that taste. He didn't explain this in detail. If you associate with those who have a taste in a particular thing, a particular item, a particular object of that sense enjoyment, where they get their pleasure, if you associate with those people, that same pleasure will come to your heart, that taste will come to your heart. So therefore, Kaviraj Goswami has recommended satsanga tyagi. And then Prabhupada continued, and he said, if you want to be sincere, associate with them. And he pointed to the devotees. That puts a lot of pressure on the devotees to be fixed and sincere, and to be the kind of person, the kind of devotee, that if someone associates with the taste that is in your heart, will be transferred to them, and it will be a great benediction. So then, I'll just read. So if Krishna is actually in the center, even Kunti Devi, in her prayers, she prayed, let my attachment for my relatives and kinsmen be broken, so that my attraction to you, Krishna, may flow like the rivers flow to the ocean. But what's especially interesting about that statement of Kunti Devi is her relatives and kinsmen were the Pandavas, the greatest devotees of Krishna. So what did she mean by let my attachment for them be broken, so I can develop more fluidly my attachment for Krishna? So our acharyas have commented on this, explaining that in the relationship, perhaps there is a mixture of material attachment and spiritual attachment. Attraction to them as my sons, but also so much attraction to them and attachment to them as devotees. So our acharyas have explained, let the material part, let me not see them just as my sons, let me not see them as my sons, let me see them as Krishna's beloved devotees, and let me serve them in that way. And when the mood is one of service, not exploitation, and of course this is not easy to achieve, but when the mood is one of service, and in the relationship I am a servant, then that relationship can be very practical, because the attachment will essentially be for Krishna. You are Krishna's servant. Let me perform my duty from my position in such a way that you are peaceful and that your relationship with Krishna will blossom. That is the perfection of all life. All relationships. But then there is the interesting sentence that Prabhupada puts at the very end. Because he says, a woman being overly attached attached to her husband becomes a man in her next life. Of course, it is an advantage for a woman to become a man, but it is not at all advantageous for the man to become a woman. Now, Prabhupada was not very politically correct when he gave his purports. But I won't comment very much on that, but I wanted to know, or you can answer this question for yourself, did you feel for the Matajis, did you feel your false ego being pinched? And for the Prabhus, did you feel yes? Because both positions are actually Maya, because we're not nobody. And we take turns going from back and forth, attachment to one type of a body. Oh, these men exploited me so badly in this life, I'll think about a man, so I can be the exploiter in my next life. And the men so attached to women, just changing back and forth, and we'll see as the pastime goes on. The Puranjana indeed becomes a woman in his next life. So what do we want to be? We want to be a man, we want to be a woman, we want to be Krishnas. We want to be Krishnas and the property of Krishna's devotees. Let pure consciousness awaken in all our hearts, and let us continue our spiritual life. Okay, thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Is it possible to be accepted in the name of everyone rather than advice?
Is it possible to be deceptive in treating one's relatives as Vaishnavas? Well, the line was drawn by Kunti Devi there. But what I've seen from my experiences, my own personal experiences, it's possible to be deceptive in everything I do. In chanting the holy name, I can want people to think, oh, what a wonderful chanter he is. And that could be the engine that's driving my chanting. So yes, of course, it's possible to turn the most wonderful thing into the most terrible thing by the power of Maya. Of course, we can't turn the holy names of Krishna and the Saripsadam items of bhakti into the most terrible thing. But we can be deceptive and bewilder ourselves, and we can not get the benefit, the true benefit that such consciousness can award us with. So Kunti Devi has said that the material world, let it go. And of course the question is, who will we really deceive? And the most dangerous person to deceive, of course, is ourselves. Convince ourselves that my impure consciousness is insulted. So therefore we see that the mood of the devotees, Vaishnavas, is always the deepest of humility. Is that right? Any other questions or comments? Is that a budding question arising in your mind behind you? You want like this? I saw the finger raised, which is often an indication that there's a question hidden below. Do you have a question? Would you like to know behind? Yeah? Okay. Yes. How to how can you be humble if the service is to discipline a devotee? First of all, one keeps it as a service. And before one offers discipline, the rule should be that one should make sure one's consciousness is proper. That means when the consciousness, say if someone does something, you're angry at them, that may not be the best time to discipline. Wait till you feel affection for them, and when your words are coming from a consciousness that this is for your benefit, this is my service to you, that's my appreciation for you and respect for you, this is my service to you, and therefore I offer you these words. So when it's coming from that type of a mood, the tendency will be for the person to accept it better too. So we should never be out of the mood of a servant. I one time heard Prabhupada answer a question on a morning walk. Something like that, but on a different level. That someone was said to Prabhupada, one of the devotees, said to Prabhupada, and it was, I heard that you said the good old days were the best days. The good old days of the movement were the best days. And the devotee said it in a sort of a light and somewhat superficial way, trying to just get something from Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada replied, yes, because I did not have to criticize anyone. Because when one has a position, what to speak of the Acharya, founder Acharya, his business is to criticize. It's his service. Prabhupada took that service in the correct consciousness. Of course, coming from a heartfelt desire to benefit the devotees and benefit the world. So we try to make our consciousness Bhagavatam.